Welcome back for a new edition of Video Game News. Now, this is going to be a relatively light one. I'm going to be doing mostly news stories next Monday, so stay tuned for that. Because of things got in the way, wasn't able to get everything together in time for this edition, but still have enough at least on a PSN sale going on, and also a list of upcoming titles for the rest of the year from Limited Run Games. No specific dates, unfortunately. But with that said, first, up on the side of some of the video game sales going on, right now, we have it's called mid-year deals. First, you have Knockout City, which is sort of an online MMO type of game. Base version $14.99, then deluxe version for $22.49. Also, Crash 4 for $34 or $35.99. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order for $13.19. Interesting title. Also, you have Little Nightmares 1 for $4.99, Little Nightmares 2 for $27.99, Persona 5 Royal for $26.99, which is the best way to play Persona 5. Also, The Outer Worlds is on sale for $19.79, which isn't bad. Also, you have Assassin's Creed Unity is on sale for $8.99. You have Ghost Runner, a cool cyberpunk style indie game for $14.99. Also, you have Assassin's Creed Triple Pack, which has I believe it's like a Unity, Syndicate, and I think the other one was Rogue, if I'm not mistaken. But also, you have the Yakuza Remaster Collection, which is a remastered version of Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 for $25.99. Also, Control for $14.99. You have The Legend of Heroes Trials of Cold Steel 3 for $29.99. Alien Isolation, which is a survival horror game I highly recommend, for $5.99. Also, you have Dead Rising 2, which is a superb game, for $5.99. Also, you have Anthem E. It's like 95 or 96% off. It's on sale for $3.59. Ni no Kuni 2 for $11.99, which is a great JRPG. And if you like Miyazaki style art and stuff, or Studio Ghibli art style, you'll definitely enjoy Ni no Kuni 2. Also, you have the collector's edition of Journey, which includes the two other games done by the same people that did Journey. Total collection, it is $12.49 for 3 great indie games. Also, you have Sakura, or Sakura, though I say Sakura, Wars for $26.99. You have Murdered Soul Suspect, which is a first-person shooter game by Square Enix. It is $1.99. Also, you have Mark of the Ninja, an interesting-looking indie ninja game, for $8.99. You have a special bundle pack of Yooka-Laylee 1, and then Yooka-Laylee like the Impossible Missions or whatever. I forget the exact name, but like the first game was influenced obviously by games like Banjo-Kazooie, while the second game was more influenced by stuff like Donkey Kong Country from gameplay. Also, you have a special Lego game bundle for $19.99, which includes the DC villains. It includes also Star Wars Lego Batman 3 and 2 Lego Marvel games. So, interesting selection. Also, you have Torn, an interesting looking indie game. For $7.49, you have Inner Space, which is a very unique indie game, for $4.99. You have Scully, which is interesting, for $7.49. You have the Square Enix attempted reboot of Thief for $1.99. You have Tokyo Dark Remembrance for $9.99, which actually looks like actually a pretty interesting game in my opinion. And the last game, which is on sale briefly right now, uh, believe it or not, for $13.49, it's like $1.50 off right now. New for $13.49, Doki Doki Literature Club Plus. And that is one of the other things I wanted to quickly mention. I will be, in the next couple weeks, I will be doing a recorded playthrough of Doki Doki Literature Club, and I'm not sure what I am getting myself into, because I've done a decent job to stay away over the time from spoilers and things. And then once I do play it, I will give a review and my overall impressions on everything altogether. Also, this is the very first dating sim type game I have ever actually played. So, with no former knowledge or anything, I do know about the elements of horror and stuff in the game from a few years back, Zero Punctuation Yahtzee's review on the game, which is what got me originally intrigued in the game. Though, unfortunately, this version is not free. Like I said, it's $13.49, but still not a bad price. Or you can pre-order the physical version through like GameStop, Best Buy, and stuff for $29.99, which physical will begin release for PS4, PS5, and Nintendo Switch. Now, digitally, you can already get it on all the consoles. So that's just a heads up. And now, I'm not going to mention overall all of them, but this is just some of the games that are coming from over the next year period. And I'll mention what consoles also they're coming for Unlimited Run games. We have one game that does interest me a little bit, BloodRayne. Betrayal, Fresh Bites. Interesting looking indie style 2D Metroidvania type game of the BloodRayne series. Which is being released for the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation 4. Also, you have Castlevania Anniversary Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rando of Blood, or however you want to say, which has been already done the pre-orders, or wait, not yet. That is the regular Castlevania Anniversary, which is officially ended. But this one, Special Collection, have it digitally, but I will be getting this again, just because of being a big fan of the Castlevania series. But this is only getting a PS4 release, strangely enough. I think that Sony may have like an exclusive deal with Konami on that. Then Castlevania Rando or whatever, Blood is actually again a physical release, believe it or not, for the TurboGrafx 16, also known as the PC Engine. But yeah, it's actually again a TurboGrafx physical release through Limited Run Games. So you collectors out there might want to look into this. Or heck, if you actually have a TurboGrafx 16, this might be something to look into. Also, we have a Contra Anniversary Collection that is being released. It is being released for Nintendo Switch and PS4. So if you like those classic era, old school like shooters and stuff, I think you'll probably appreciate games like Contra, though I always kind of liked the original like classic Bionic Commando just a little bit more personally. But also you have the Double Dragon and Kuni or whatever Retro Brawler bundle, which is multiple different games, and it is being physically released only for the Nintendo Switch. Now, if you're an old school like beat 'em up fan, this is definitely something to look into. Also, you have a cool like old school 3D shooter, which looks like basically, it reminds me gameplay wise of like the original Wolfenstein and like the original Doom games gameplay aspects, though some elements also kind of remind me of the Serious Sam series as well. but it is called Dusk. It is being released for the Switch and the PS4. Also, you have Ghoul Patrol, which is an interesting looking game. Now, this is a special game. Ghoul Patrol is being released for the Switch, the PS4, and a special physical limited release also for Super Nintendo. So, for you SNES fans and collectors out there, this might be something to look into from Limited Run Games. Some actual physical releases for Super Nintendo. Also, you have Going Under, which is an interesting looking game. It is being released for Switch and PS4. Also, you have a game called Haven being released for the Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PS5. You also have a game called Hunt Down Collector's Edition being released for Switch and PS4. Also, One Step from Eden, which looks kind of interesting. It's being released for the Switch and PS4. This is definitely one of the top three that has me most interested. I only know of the game from how it is considered and stuff, like a really not so great. Like, basically, it's in the same lane, I guess you could say, sort of game as like Night Trap, though that's a guilty pleasure game, which I actually do have, thanks to Limited Run. It is a great game. I played it many years ago, briefly through renting and stuff, but it is a very unique game. And another game actually involving the girl in this game actually was also in the room, which is interesting. The game is called Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and I can't believe it's actually again a physical release, re-release for the PS4, PS5, Nintendo Switch, and PC, which is very interesting. And I can tell you, this is one I will definitely be adding with Night Trap, just because it was a game back in the day I wanted to play, but back at the time when it first came out, it was, of course, only released for the 3DO. Night Trap was one of the few games that did actually end up getting released on more platforms than just the 3DO. And let's just say Night Trap is a very much a guilty pleasure game of mine. And I kind of hope that Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is going to be the same way for me. Also, you have some other interesting games like Retromania, which is a cool wrestling game, and it's got some YouTubers done in the crowd and stuff in the game. Like, was it RGT85 is in the game. Also, you have some other stuff, and it definitely has a lot of classic characters. But it is going to begin release for the Switch and the PS4. Also, a few of other games. You have River City Girls, which is a great beat 'em up originally released through Limited for, of course, Switch and PS4. It's now officially again a PS5 physical release. Also, they announced exclusive for the Switch a prequel game called River City Girls Zero. It is also going to begin a release later on. I think towards the end of this year, early next year, if I remember correctly. And then also an announcement for River City Girls 2, which is getting released for Switch, PS4, and PS5. And for you classic arcade beat 'em up fans like myself, who grew up with those type of games, or somebody who's just very interested in playing classic 2D style beat 'em ups, this is definitely a game I highly recommend. The artwork is great, the soundtrack is superb. I have nothing negative to say about River City Girls, but highly recommend it. Also, Ruby Grim Eclipse is getting a physical release for strictly the Nintendo Switch, and that, I believe, is gonna be available for pre-order starting this coming Friday, so in just several days. Also, Shantae, classic Shantae is now been announced getting a physical release for the first time for PS4 and PS5. Of course, they already got a release on the Switch, which I have. And it got also a special reproduction done also for Game Boy Color. Also, uh, Risky's Revenge is being made available, and actually that just dropped this past Friday, available for pre-order for PS5 version. Unfortunately, now the funny thing is, I pre-ordered the game even though I don't even have a PS5. Why? Because look at the price of Risky's Revenge for Switch and stuff. You'll then understand why I did what I did, just to make sure I get the game. And this is one I definitely recommend if you get the opportunity when it goes live, pre-order it, definitely. And that is Shantae, the Pirate's Curse, which is for PS5 physical re-release. Because to put in comparison, the Switch version of Pirate's Curse is going for anywhere from $300 to $500 now, the limited run version of the game. So yeah, good luck if you want it. The cheapest port of the game that I know of right now is the 3DS version. It's still hovering around like $100. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this. It's the cheaper route to go because these are gonna be like $29.99. So that's very reasonable. Also, PS5 release for also Half Genie Hero Ultimate Edition, and of course, Seven Sirens, which at least I have those. The only ones I'm missing, but now that I have Risky's Revenge, now I just need to get our version. Then at least I'll have a physical version of every Shantae game. But anyways, yeah, all these are going to be released if you are a PS5 owner or you're interested in collecting Shantae. This is probably the best time to be doing it. Also, a very unique indie game where you play as birds that skateboard called Skatebird. Why not? It's getting a physical release exclusively for the Nintendo Switch, and it's definitely a game that has my interest. If you're a skateboarding game fan like me who really enjoys the Tony Hawk games, I definitely recommend looking into this, especially if you're a Switch owner. Also, you have Strife, which is an interesting looking game coming out strictly for the Switch. You have Super Hot is getting a physical release finally after all these years, which is a game actually on my list to do a playthrough of in the near future and review. But it's getting a physical release for the PS4 and the PS4 and the Nintendo Switch. Second to last is the Takeover, which is an interesting indie game, being released for the Nintendo Switch as well as the PS4. Now, the final game technically is now up right now live, and you can pre-order, and that is Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is a classic game that was originally on the Super Nintendo as well as the Sega Genesis. Now, back in the day, I played the game on the Sega Genesis, so nostalgia factor there. But this was a definite day one pre-order. The game for current gen like PS4 as well as Nintendo Switch, like the basic version of the game, physical is like $34.99, very affordable in my opinion. Also, it's getting a physical re-release, believe it or not, for the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis. So it's getting actually 2 retro re-releases as well. So it's interesting seeing several games actually getting special retro re-releases and stuff. Very unique and cool. If you are definitely like an Uber Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis fan, this might be something to look into. Just quickly mention before I cut up this video, like I said, the Switch and PS4 version is like physical is $34.99, reasonable. However, if you do want the retro version, just be warned, it's going to be $59.99. So it's definitely going to be a bit more expensive, but let's be honest, that's kind of the average price of what Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis games were brand new back in the 90s. Anybody who grew up in that time period in the 4th and 5th console generation members, cartridges were not cheap, especially Nintendo 64 cartridges. I have nightmares of back in the day. Some of that crap cost like $60 to anywhere to $80 for a cartridge at Kmart, Heels. Ugh. But anyways, with that said, that is a sort of a relatively short edition of video game news, at least just mainly talking about physical releases coming out over the next year from limited run games, as well as a PSN sale going on. Now, next week, I'm going to look and see if there's any good deals going on for Nintendo or Windows Store, aka for Xbox players. I'll see what deals are going on, if anything worth mentioning in next week's edition of Game News. We'll see. But hopefully you found interesting any of this news of any of the releases or re-releases from Limited Run Games, because it is a great thing to support physical media. I've always been a big backer and always will be. But with that said, I hope everyone stays safe. Hopefully you enjoyed the music in the background of Old Town from, of course, the first Gravity Rush game. See you soon.